How you doing, YouTube? Massive beer reviews. Back a little two roads up in this piece. They're Unorthodox Russian Imperial Stout. This is a 9.2% alcohol by volume Russian Imperial Stout. In the back, we have story time. It says, from Stratford with love. That's funny. I do that with my live streams. It says, this most unorthodox Russian Imperial Stout is the non-barrel aged rendition of Igor's Dream, which I've had before. It's brewed with malted rye, 8 different malts, and generous amounts of Cascade and Columbus hops to create a depth of character that's unmistakable. Notes of rye, treacle, chocolate, and espresso all come together to create a crescendo of flavor that's unbelievably full-bodied. This brew is ready to enjoy now, or suitably ageable for up to 5 years of gentle aging. RAS-20001. So I don't... Russian Imperial Stout 2020, and this is batch 1 of 2020, I guess. So this beer might be a year old. I don't know. How does their date codes work? Whatever. We're diving into it. So I'm guessing it has a little bit of time on it. Let's put it that way. That 20 has to mean something. So at minimum, this being May 1st, it has 5 months on it. You know, poured a little bit too much. Wind's kicking up. My little citronella candle freaking out over there. Yeah, label-wise, that's what you'd expect. A little bit of Russian kind of, what do they call those buildings? Kremlin? The Kremlin? That's not what they, I don't know what they're called. But it looks like Russian stuff. There you go. Massive Cold War reviews. Anyway, that beer looks like the part of a stout. Pinky finger. Oh man, I gotta cut my goddamn nails. Yeah. Malted malt ball color, leaning towards what I like coffee to look like in this rich dark kind of body. So we're off to a little bit of a dark start. Let's get those. Man, those hops are really coming through. It really does come off as like a Cascadian dark ale, at least in the nose. I'm not getting a big, huge sweetness component here. They're talking about treacle and kind of that kind of fudgy, kind of molassesy kind of richness to it. It is really very much kind of old school northwestern kind of hop, that Cascade, that kind of Columbus kind of thing, old school C kind of hop, kind of high ABV Imperial Cascadian dark ale, at least on the nose. There's soft chocolate there. There's soft chocolate there. There's a nice roast component, but it really is leaning heavily into those hops. So if this beer has a year on it, those hops are really, really up front. So they talked about rye in here too. I think if there's any kind of rye spiciness, it's merging with those hops and coming off as that spicy kind of bittering. We're just going to dive in. Cheers. I mean, they go out of their way to say it's unorthodox. It really is not what I personally would expect a Russian Imperial Stout to taste like. There is a chocolate component. There's a baker's chocolate component. There's a roast component to it. But it really is more of a Cascadian dark ale to me. The Russian Imperial Stout, because it really is bittering leaning. I believe you're getting that from the hops. I believe you're getting a decent spiciness that is merging between both the hops and the malt. And you're getting that bittering from the malt. And it really doesn't come off as this dense, thick, kind of rich kind of Russian Imperial Stout. Russian Imperial Stouts for me, yeah, it can be a little bit soft, a little bit creamy. It can be a little bit dense, but there's typically a couple things involved. A bittering that's not over the top. Again, some people would argue, but my quintessential Russian Imperial Stout falls between Black Albert from Struce and Wells and Young. They're Courage. Now, the Americanized version of Russian Imperial Stout everybody kind of leans into is your Old Rasputin from North Coast. This beer is neither of those. It's a bit more bittering, so it leans a little bit more into that North Coast version, but it lacks that kind of density and thickness. So it really has this kind of just this Imperial Cascadian dark ale thing going on. Not in a negative way. I'm not a big fan of North Coast Old Rasputin, but I think I really do like this. Now, Igor's Dream, the barrel-aged version, I love that beer because what this beer is lacking is a little bit of density, and it is lacking sweetness. If I were drinking this blind, I think I would guess this is around 7%, nowhere near 9 and change. But when you take this beer with this kind of bittering forwardness, this baker's chocolate forwardness, a lot of undersweetened kind of tones, and you add a barrel to this, that's why I can see why I like that beer so much, because it's missing those robust kind of sweet components that make it kind of go over the top. Combine that with, if you do a barrel aged version, you're probably going to get more of a richer dark fruit thing, which I inherently think is almost a must for Russian Imperial Stouts. Like, you know, if you want some robust dark fruits, drink yourself a Black Albert, and it's like there's almost cherry juice involved in that beer. Even if you go into the what's the other one I really like? It's not, so like I said, Wells and Young, who makes the banana bread beer, they make the Courage one, but there's another one. It's like Young and Sons or something like that. I forget what it's called. That one's fantastic too. There's always this red cordial cherry kind of thing that really kind of does me all the kinds of proper. And this is what's missing here. It's missing a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of that dark fruit. And that's really kind of what I want from a base Russian Imperial Stout. The barrel aged version gives that to you. You're just kind of missing it here. And it's a fine beer, but again, drinking this blind, I would almost certainly call this a bittering forward stout at best, but most likely I'd probably call it kind of Cascadian dark ale, which I can get down with. Honestly, I can get down with this beer. It's a fun beer, it's a tasty beer. I'm not going to freak out over it, but yeah, I dig it. So yeah, let's talk about it. This is one of the better Russian Imperial Stouts I've had as of late. I don't want to put it in. I don't want to put it out. So we'll put it in limbo there. Just because it's just missing some stuff for me. If you say this is one of the better Cascadian dark ales I've had as of late, it's in the mix. Value and availability, I don't know. Steven gave me this. Thank you very much, brother. Let me know how much you paid for this, and leave you with if you like what we like this beer. If you like Cascadian dark ales, but you wish they were a little bit bigger, you like Old Rasputin, but you wish it was a little bit less, that's exactly where this beer lands. So if you drink those two beers and you want something that lands directly in the middle of both of those, that's exactly what this beer is going to give you. So if you like that, you'll like this. So there we go. Reviewing the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massif. If you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a little two roads right now. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers.